blues fans, I'm glad you made it. Welcome to another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Kimbro Big Train Matson, with the blues band Big Train and the Locomotives. And it's time to take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Hill country slide guitar maestro Mississippi Fred McDowell was born January 12, 1904 in Rossville, Tennessee. He was playing the guitar by the age of 14 with a slide hollowed out from a steer bone. His parents died when he was young, and the wandering life of a traveling musician soon took hold. In the 1920s, it saw him playing for tips on the streets around Memphis and settling down in Como, Mississippi, where he lived out the rest of his life. For the next 30 years, he split his time between farming and playing music for local events. Here's another Mississippi ghost story. Louise Johnson was a Delta blues singer and pianist who was active in the 1920s and 1930s. Johnson lived in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Now, on May 28, 1930, in Grafton, Wisconsin, she sang in a recording session for Paramount Records with Son House, Willie Brown, and her romantic partner at the time, Charlie Patton. At the session, Johnson recorded 4 sides. Now, despite her small stature, Johnson sang with a lusty voice, and some of her material was the dirty blues variety. Now, while returning to Mississippi, Johnson was also part of a love triangle with Charlie Patton and then Son House, apparently wooing House on the trip home. That had to be a long ride home for Charlie Patton. Anyway, when he returned, he referred to the turn of events in his song Joe Kirby Blues. Country blues musician and singer Lottie Kimbro was born on January 14th in either 1893 or 1900. The date of her death isn't known. She was a large woman and was nicknamed the Kansas City Butterball. Her recording career lasted from 1924 to 1929. Now, one music journalist wrote that Kimbro's powerful vocals and unique arrangements of several of her best pieces rank her as one of the sizable talents of the 1920s blues tradition. Unfortunately, little is known of her life beyond her recording career. Chicago blues guitar maestro Earl Hooker was born January 15th in 1930 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Now, later that same year, his parents moved the family to Chicago. Now, Hooker is considered a musician's musician, and he performed with blues artists such as Sonny Boy Williamson II, Junior Wells, John Lee Hooker, and fronted his own bands. An early player of the electric guitar, Hooker was a flamboyant showman and picked the guitar with his teeth or feet, or played it behind his neck or between his legs. Gospel blues legend Reverend Robert Wilkins was born on January 16, 1896. He could play ragtime, blues, minstrel songs, and gospel music with equal talent. He performed in Memphis and North Mississippi during the 1920s and early 1930s, the same time as Furry Lewis, Memphis Minnie, who he claimed to have tutored, and Son House. From 1928 to 1936, he recorded for Victor and Brunswick Records, either alone or with a single accompanist, like Sleepy Don Estes. In 1936, at the age of 40, he quit playing the blues and joined the church after witnessing a murder where he performed. Chicago blues harmonica player and singer Lester Mad Dog Davenport was born January 16, 1932 in Chula, Mississippi. He moved to Chicago when he was 14. Davenport's first claims to blues fame was playing harp on the 1955 Bo Diddley chess session that resulted in the tracks Pretty Thing and Bring It to Jerome. He also played harmonica with the band The Kinsey Report. In 1992, he had his first solo effort that was followed by several others. Now, about the Mad Dog handle, it seemed that Davenport liked to prowl the stage while playing a few notes on every instrument at the bandstand during his younger days. The stick earned him the name, and his tenacious playing did the rest. Chicago blues guitarist and songwriter E.G. Kite was born January 17, 1966 in Dublin, Georgia. She's worked with a who's who list of country and blues stars, including George Jones, Jerry Lee Lewis, Conway Twitty, Merle Haggard, Luther Allison, Hubert Sumlin, Pinetop Perkins, Taj Mahal, B.B. King, and Coco Taylor. Already a professional musician in her mid-teens, Kite moved away from playing country songs and began her career in Chicago blues after hearing a recording of Coco Taylor. Kite has received several nominations for Blues Music Awards. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, and there's a lot of them, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a brand new episode next week, so we'll see you then.